Have you ever started off dating somebody where in the early stage, it was like fireworks? Maybe you even felt that things were too good to be true. Maybe you felt deeply connected, valued, wanted, really important to somebody that you thought was incredible. And as time went on, it seemed to continue that way. But after a few weeks or months in, all of a sudden, even seemingly out of the blue, the person leaves the relationship, leaving you feeling like the rug was pulled out from underneath you and definitely leaving you with a lot of questions. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about why this actually happens and how it sometimes happens most commonly with a fearful avoidant attachment style. And because of some of their own programming that they probably didn't ask for themselves that lead them to hold their own feelings back or not be able to have boundaries or articulate their needs, that there's some really crucial reasons we're going to dig into that cause them to leave relationships all of a sudden. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do if you're on the receiving end of this, or if you are the fearful avoidant yourself who realizes sometimes you do this, because there's powerful golden nuggets and learnings to take away, no matter what your attachment style is or what end of this experience you're on. The very first reason fearful avoidants can lose attraction is if their trust is actually broken. Now, obviously, there can be little things like somebody might tell a white lie or things like that. But I mean, if trust itself is broken, it's not like a portion of trust was chipped away at momentarily, but broken trust will often cause a fearful avoidant to go absolutely cold, like almost no coming back from to certain degrees with certain fearful avoidance. And this can be like over something large. This can be over something where there's cheating or infidelity or some sort of finding out that there's this big lie that's been being told for quite some time. Um, or if there's just something that's been kept from you that really was important for you to know, to hear, to understand. Anything like that can cause a fearful avoidant to really shut down and actually have a hard time, not just wanting to open back up, but being motivated to open back up, like feeling like it's hard to sort of turn that attraction or connection back on, but also feeling like, well, I don't want to, so why should I even bother? So that will be a big one. A second big dynamic that causes fearful avoidance to lose attraction is that if somebody's like really anxiously attached to them and somebody's accidentally violating their own boundaries, they don't have a sense of self, especially as the attachment between the fearful avoidant and another attachment style sort of connects more deeply or bonds more deeply together. Sometimes what you'll see is fearful avoidance when they feel like their boundaries are crossed, or they're not being seen, or they're not being understood. Their need for independence and freedom and autonomy are not really making it across to the other person that they're in a relationship with or that they're dating. Sometimes you'll see fearful avoidance really lose attraction in that sense. And it's not just that the fearful avoidance starts leaning dismissive. Somebody can start leaning in their more DA side as a fearful avoidant without actually losing attraction on a more permanent basis. But if this is repetitive enough, and if fearful avoidants start to feel overwhelmed, because fearful avoidants do tend to sort of enjoy a bit of a challenge in the beginning of relationships as well, all of these things can lead to a lack of novelty, a lack of challenge, feeling like their boundaries are crossed, feeling like they're unseen, unheard, misunderstood. And all of these things together for an FA can really sort of coalesce and make them feel like, okay, this just isn't for me. I'm just not interested, and really shut off. Number three is when a fearful avoidant feels like there's a lot of expectations on them. If a fearful avoidant's pouring into somebody and they're really trying, they're really showing up, they're really making an effort in the relationship, and then somebody seems to just keep expecting more of them, especially in the dating stage, this can cause a fearful avoidant to shut down completely, because they don't like to feel like fearful avoidants already put such strong expectations on themselves. Part of it's their shadow, right? Because part of it's like, oh my goodness, I'm already trying so hard and doing so much. How could you ever expect anything more from me? And it can lead to disappointment, frustration, but really just feeling like this isn't reasonable and I need to keep you away to sort of keep my sense of self safe. And this can really put out that flame of attraction and chemistry early on in a relationship with a fearful avoidant. I just wanted to pop in here and let you know we are doing a 7-day free trial to the All Access Membership Pass at PDS, which means you get access to literally everything inside of the school. And this includes the 4 live webinars I do with our students every single week. And on top of that, you get access to all of our different courses. We have over 55 different courses on relationships, communication, boundaries, emotional mastery, guilt and shame, learning your needs, so many different facets that are really important to master our lives and feel really good about our lives going forward. And last but not least, there's a daily community event. We have trained facilitators and coaches who are in there doing that work, showing up to support you on your journey every single day. Please join me on the other side. Come check it out. See if it's a fit for you. I'd love to see you there. Go ahead and sign up by clicking the link in the description box below. The next big one that can really cause a fearful avoidant to feel trapped or to feel like they lose attraction is if they feel trapped. So if they feel like somebody's putting a lot of pressure on them, making demands, pushing things along before the fearful avoidant is ready, violating their boundaries, any of those dynamics will cause the fearful avoidant to just feel like they need to flee. And what's important to recognize is that fearful avoidants have quite a strong flight response as part of a coping mechanism, right? Every time we've got a fight response or a flight response, anything that's magnified, a lot of times it's magnified because this was the way we learned to cope when we were exposed to trauma at a young age. So for a fearful avoidant, they can have a really strong flight response. And if they start feeling trapped, it can cause them to just run a million miles an hour in the other direction. So it's really important to pay attention to. And number 5, this is really important if you are the fearful avoidant, is that if fearful avoidants are not speaking up for their own needs, and eventually, because they're pouring into somebody else or trying really hard, they feel like it's a one-sided relationship. Eventually, fearful avoidants tend to pull away from one-sided relationships and really just feel burnt out by them and exhausted and want to move in other directions. And for fearful avoidance specifically, this is your work to do. Like if you see yourself doing this, and if this is a pattern for you where you may sabotage relationships or feel like you need to, move away suddenly out of the blue, what's actually happening is usually you've got unmet needs for a long enough period of time at the subconscious level that it eventually reaches a tipping point. And at that tipping point, you just sort of shut down and feel like, okay, this is enough. I've had enough. And sometimes I even know that fearful avoidance, had many conversations with that phase over the years, will try to wait until it reaches that tipping point because they know that they'll leave. And sometimes they feel guilty leaving relationships before that point. But if you find yourself on that path, like your job is to start speaking up. Your job is to start getting into the habit. Even if it's not the relationship you want to be in now, at least for future relationships, to speak up, to share your needs, to advocate for yourself, to allow yourself to take up space. Because what happens is when you don't do those things, you're on a path towards eventually feeling like somebody's burning you out. And you're also on a path towards feeling like you're unseen or you don't matter. When in fact, a lot of the roots of the problem are actually that people don't know the information that they need to know because you're not sharing it to make you feel like you matter, to make you feel like you're seen. So sometimes if there's needs that are unmet for long periods of time, that can cause a fearful avoidant to shut down and really lose that attraction and that wanting to be in the relationship. But there's also something you can really solve for as an FA. So that's it for today. Let me know questions you have about this. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying it. I would so appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.